A note. Following advice from work-life imbalance may lead to action being taken by HR, your family, the authorities, or higher powers.
Welcome to Work-Life Imbalance, an advice show focusing on workplace and lifestyle issues. Any resemblance to actual advice, living or dead, or actual wisdom is purely coincidental. I'm your lovable office companion, Derek Lewis. As you may notice, Frank is not here today. He is on vacation. He went to summer camp with panty raids and everything. No, he's taking a well-deserved vacation. So in lieu of a regular episode, we are going to do a clip show featuring some of the funny moments from the first few episodes of our podcast. So sit back and relax and share some laughs, and we'll be back next week with a regular episode. As always, continue sharing the show, and if you want us to answer any of your questions on air, send them to questions@WLIcast.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/WLIcast, or on Twitter at WLImbalance. Oh, and we're also on Spotify now, which is cool as hell. All right, thanks so much, and we'll see you with another regular episode next week. I want to get into an issue from the internet.
All right.
Rick says, what, if anything, do I do about toilet wankers at work?
This has changed.
So I moved to a new, smaller team of 8 guys a few months ago, and apart from being in a cramped, smaller space in a horrible part of the building, it was fine. I'm a bit confused about something that I think might be going on there, though. The toilets off the office are really only used by our team, and a few days after starting down there, I was using them for their intended purposes, aka shitting. And I heard shuffling from the adjacent cubicle.
Oh, no.
I ignored it, but it became increasingly obvious one of the guys was masturbating in there.
Oh, man.
I found it sort of funny at the time, but said nothing. Anyway, it kept happening. I'd be using the toilet and shuffle from the next cubicle. Not every day, but often enough if I use the toilet, I hear that. I don't particularly care. I'm no prude. But this past week, I was in the middle cubicle. Oh, God. So he's getting double teamed. In the middle cubicle when I realized it's coming from both sides, and it wasn't subtle. So I nearly drop along to hurry up. And get out of there. I knew who it was, as there were only 2 guys missing from their desks.
No.
And then looking slightly flushed each return.
Oh, no.
And one of them even let out a satisfied sigh
Oh.
and lit up a cigarette. No, that didn't.
Okay.
When he sat down. It's getting quite brazen at this point, and so I suspect they're all openly masturbating in the toilets, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I think they want me to acknowledge it. Wait, what? I did not read that part. I think they want me to acknowledge it and mention that I don't care, but I find it super embarrassing. Oh my God.
No.
I hope that's a bad read.
No.
Because, like, look, if people were whacking it near me, unless they were making eye contact with me while they were doing it, I would have no notion that they would want me to say anything about it whatsoever.
Oh, no, like, this
And
is
mention
just
that I don't
in the
care about it.
office.
It's
You don't pull a
embarrassing.
Louis C.K. Like, that is... Even
that's topical.
even before then, it was not right. Now we've got, a whole new term to use for it, but fuck me, no.
I did not know this is a thing, a kind of working culture I've managed to remain oblivious to. Maybe I should just leave them to it. Well,
this is not a working
yes,
culture.
you certainly should.
This is something completely different.
Maybe I should leave them to it without comment and pretend it isn't obvious.
Like, if they were to come out of those the cubicles.
You can't say if they were to come when we're talking about.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God, I'm sorry. But if they were to show up and they were wearing, like, some sort of cult regalia where, they were like, we've been wanting you to recognize for weeks now, Rick, that we are worshiping the Dark Lord in the bathroom. I would be like,
That is
oh,
the
thank
worst
God.
euphemism for masturbating I've ever heard.
Holy shit, I thought you guys were jerking in there. The whole time, I didn't realize that it was just like, some light devil worship. This is, all right, I feel much better now.
I think that, Elder God would be kind of pissed if you summoned them. Right after you drop the deuce, just like summon Satan. He's like, dude, you didn't even flush before I got here.
Who has
What is
summoned
wrong
me?
with
Wait,
you?
what? Oh, dude. Grody.
The question is, this is from a user that their name has disappeared. So we're going to call him Sturvel.
Sturvel. All right.
Sturvel.
I like Sturvel.
So Sturvel asks, how to beat feeling sleepy in the office? I feel that there's an obvious answer in here, which is absolutely you are working too much and sleeping not enough.
Yeah, that is one reasonably straightforward cause of feeling sleepy is, hey, I work 16 hours a day.
Yeah. That would absolutely do it for me. Even if I, got 16 hours of work and then a solid 8 hours of sleep, I would still feel like death. When I switched to, just something simple as getting like at a minimum 7 hours of sleep a day, I was like, holy crap. You mean to tell me that I don't have to be a complete asshole for the first 4 hours of the day every day? This is what normal people feel like?
Now, see, I tend to average about 5 hours. So...
Oh, so that explains it.
How much of my general personality is just lack of sleep?
Well, and I mean, to get to the root of it, I think we have to question when your general demeanor started. So did you just pop out the womb, glaring at people and talking about low productivity and trying to encourage synergy?
Pretty much.
So, I mean, if that's the case, yeah, then I think the sleep is just, maybe adding an extra 10% on top of that.
Maybe. I hope that's probably it. Or else, I could just take a nap one day and wake up a completely different person.
That is terrifying.
As a child, I had an L-shaped desk in my room. I didn't quite have a cubicle set up, but it could have been a cubicle.
See, I was wondering where you were going with that for a second, and I was like, an L-shaped desk. Did like John Wayne Gacy have a L-shaped desk, or?
Nope, just, your average productivity desk there in my childhood bedroom. But yeah, no, I'm hoping that my personality isn't just chronic sleeplessness. Although I will say, I don't get enough sleep. I am worse for several hours in the morning. If that says anything. By the time I go into work, I am bright, shiny, and peppy compared to my morning self. If I don't get my morning shower, nobody wants to be near me. I have said this in the past. We are 3 days into me not having hot water from a Mad Max level, just complete psychotic break. Just me in a leather Speedo, nothing else but a hockey mask, and a gigantic battle axe made of a stop sign. This means, of course, that smacking loudly while you eat is the next hipster thing.
Oh, God.
Ugly mustaches, terrible glasses, fixies, and smacking while you eat.
See, I was on board with the others. I could deal with those, but this will not stand. But there are some people that people that are really big into beer, and folks that are into teas and coffees and stuff like that. And wine for sure.
Yeah.
With those, there is I guess some sort of chemical reason to get a little bit extra air on the tongue. But that still doesn't mean that I want to hear it. Like,
yeah, you should do that in like a hermetically sealed room specifically built for taste testing.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is.
And if you want to, like, just like they used to have like the smoking rooms that were like completely sealed and had like a vent through the top. If y'all want to have a coffee room or a wine room where you're literally just slurping down as fast as you possibly can, just you're all like making eye contact and slurping at each other. Whatever you want to do, go crazy, but just do it away from me.
My next immediate thought is this is a good business. I mean, if the next hipster movement is smacking while you eat, then we need to serve that market with specially built restaurants and or tasting facilities for people to come and do this in. And what we need to do now is determine what the name of this concept should be.
I have no good name for it because I would just scream at them. Like, just if the name on the restaurant or whatever be is just in quote, like in parentheses, guttural screaming, yes, that's the only thing that comes to mind. Like, I'm trying to be funny. I really am. Like, I'm racking my brain for something funny to say about that, but I've got nothing because every time I think about it, it just makes me want to die. So you may have to workshop that yourself, Frank. That may be a solo project for you. Unless, of course, this I could get behind. It's a cruise where people that like to slurp or chew with their mouth open all go. And they can just go buck wild all weekend. They can just chew with their mouths open. They can like literally chew ear to ear with other people, and they can just chomp down whatever they want to do. And then on the 5th day of the cruise, when they're supposed to turn around and go back to port, they drive into the fucking Bermuda Triangle. And they're never heard of again.
We hold the boat. The Scuttle and Slurp cruise.
No, that is a business venture I can get behind.
There we go. That might be the hipster name of it, Scuttle and Slurp.
Oh, well, would it be Slurp and Scuttle?
Yeah, because that's the logical. Yeah, I think
that's the
my
logical
soul
order
wanted it to be. We just go ahead and scuttle it before any of the slurping takes place. But I guess
right. Let them have their final few days of. It's not even debauchery. It's just
bacchanalia of slurping.
Yes. Oh, God, I'm such in a state, Frank.
It's well known that Caligula particularly loved slurping. All right, get centered.
Okay.
This one was sent in by T. Hanks. So, yeah, you got it.
It's good that Tom is a listener.
Yeah.
It helps.
I sometimes have to do collaborative video editing. What should I do when the company or person that is paying me for the video has their own input and they have just terrible ideas? Like, my ideas for their video are so much better, in my opinion, but I have to sacrifice my artistic viewpoint or my way of storytelling to keep them happy so I can keep getting paid. Should I suck it up? Or should I tell them they hired me for a reason and let me do my thing? The only other thing I can think of is if you go in the direction of the artiste. If you just make it become part of your professional persona, that you will get into an artistic snit and storm out of a meeting if people interrupt your grand vision. Granted, you're gonna lose a decent number of clients, but you might be able to charge a premium if your shit's
You're
good
creating
enough.
an atmosphere.
You're creating an atmosphere. You're creating sort of they go to you for that, to be told that they are an ignorant barbarian and that everyone knows, that the button should look like this.
Right.
Because T. Hanks has said so.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. I think that's the best case here. Is you become one of the eccentrics that are known for, like I said, like just storming out of the room, knocking over furniture on your way out, and then coming back the next day with the most immaculate piece of artwork that's ever been done. And everyone from miles around know that it is the best piece of work that's ever been made. If you are good enough to do that, then I think you have to. Like, that's got to be your shtick.
I would say that you have to be, like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, but you have to be really fucking good. But one thing that I have learned over the course of the years is actually not necessarily. It's mostly about the confidence. If you have the confidence to just stand up in the middle of a meeting and say, this is shit, your ideas are shit, I am not going to put up with this, I am leaving, and storm out. If you have that kind of confidence, if you can exude that about your artwork, people will be like,
second guessing.
He's so committed to that maybe there's something to it.
Maybe he actually is right.
I'm fairly certain this is how most of high fashion works. Like, it's just someone who...
It almost
who
has to be.
Yeah, someone who just has the passion and the complete lack of self-awareness and the obliviousness to just be like, yes, trash bags are in this season. I'm going to set loose a bunch of terribly thin people to stalk down a runway wearing trash bags, and people go, yes. Brave. So brave.
The Trash Panda collection. Every coat comes with free raccoon.
Actually, I would probably be a lot more interested in the whole fashion scene if someone did have just like their collection for a season involved, and then we stuff a live raccoon into this dress, pants, whatever it is. It's just, it's closed at the top and the bottom to keep the raccoon from escaping, and it's just, someone screaming and writhing as they gyrate down the walkway.
But really, if you're paying like $10,000 for that coat, like, you really want to keep that raccoon in there. Like,
well, yeah.
Because if that raccoon escapes, you're just a jackass in a $10,000 trash bag.
Now, if I'm paying $10,000 for this coat, and maybe it's my, sort of low-class sensibilities, but if I'm paying $10,000, it should come with a couple of replacement raccoons. Eventually, you're going to blow out a raccoon.
No. That's actually a good point, because if it comes with exactly 2 raccoons, they can make their own replacement raccoons.
I guess if you get the correct raccoons.
I don't want to get too gender normative in here, but yeah, I think you should, purely biologically speaking, put 2 in there that can produce another raccoon. That's all we need.
There we go. And then you've got like a whole, that's a whole different collection. I think that's next year's collection. Like, this year's collection, single raccoon trapped in your pants. Next season's collection is going to involve the family of raccoons trapped in your pants.
No, that's the season after that. So first season is single raccoon. Second season is 2 raccoons fucking wildly in your coat.
Okay, so we got 2 years out where we got a family of raccoons are in there.
This first one, I did not anticipate us going in such a wildlife fashion, but it works out pretty well. So, don't know who the question asker is. There's no name on it.
It's Secret Raccoon in a trench coat.
Yes, Secret Raccoon in a trench coat says, "Are pets at the office a good idea or a bad idea, and why? We are hearing more and more of offices are allowing their employees to bring their pets to work, more specifically dogs. So we wanted to ask you, what do you think of this?"
I mean, dogs, yes. Cats, no. I have cats. Cats at the office would be terrible.
I mean, they would knock shit off the desk, poop in any somewhat granular material.
Yeah, the office houseplants. Then I can also see you trying to be on a conference call while a cat is slowly watching you while they push ever so gently the speakerphone off until it clatters onto the floor.
Well, there might be some things that would have to be permanently affixed to the tabletop. Expensive equipment like that would probably be on the docket. I would be more concerned about having a conference call and them sitting there just like licking their jimmies while you're trying to talk to an important client.
Just
it's like, you know, and so for the new projections of the third quarter, I think they were pretty strong. Hold on a second. Sheila, could you come get Scruffy? It is licking its testicles in the middle of the table.
no, with cats, you just got to be like, you know, the projections are up in the third quarter. Don't make eye contact. It's better if you just look away.
You know, we were talking about raccoons before, but we were talking about raccoons in an environment that they normally would not be happy in, period, which is, you know, enclosed
Pants.
in, pants. But no, just like some docile raccoons. Do you think they could be trained to do like small secretarial tasks?
They probably could. I think what raccoons would be best at, from what I know of them, would be in the break room, washing coffee cups.
Because they wash their food. And
Exactly. You hand
stuff,
them a coffee cup, and they're just like dunk, dunk, wash, wash, wash. It would be great. I mean, I'm thinking spitting cobra.
If you really don't want to go into a meeting, just send the spitting cobra in
Exactly.
there.
We could dress him up with a little tie. We'll call him Stanley. Boss comes in like, it looks like projections are, and then, you know, I got my eyes.
One thing that bugs the hell out of me is when my wife and I, who are only two people,
Right.
we go to these restaurants and order what I would consider a human amount of food for two people. Just like an entree, maybe an appetizer, maybe an extra side order of something that we just wanted to try. And lo and behold, we get home and open up the box, and there's 4 or 5 fucking sets of silverware in there. Like that, how that is... It is. I don't know what they... I don't know how to react to that. Like, should I be as offended as I am? Because that basically is saying the food that you ordered should be for 4 or 5 people.
You have ordered
Yet
enough
you
for
are
5
consuming
people.
it as only 2.
Oh yeah, no, I've had that happen. Yeah, I mean, I've got a fairly sizable family, but sometimes it'll be like, how many fucking people did you think I had? I don't know if they're worried about fat shaming, you know, where it's like, yes, we're going to put 6 sets of cutlery in here because that fat bastard's ordered yet again entirely too much.
He needs to know exactly how many people we think this should feed.
Exactly.
And, you know, I am thankful that they put the caloric values on all the fast food and stuff like that nowadays. But sometimes that will seriously bite me in the ass, because there are some certain sandwich places where, you know, they are just super high calorie. I don't want to put any one particular sandwich place on blast, but yeah, you walk in there and
Firehouse, we're looking at you.
That is exactly what I was thinking. Okay, so we are putting Firehouse on blast. Good. You walk in, and on their large subs that are no sides, no nothing, just by themselves, are like 1,500, 1,800 calories. I have no shit. I have walked into Firehouse twice in the last few months, thought I knew what I wanted, read the menu, got depressed, and walked out. Like, I am not even joking.
Once I'm trying in any way, shape, or form to be cognizant of the trash that I am just shoveling down my hole, I'm like, I could eat all day for one of those sandwiches.
And not consume that many calories.
I mean, if it's a 2,000 calorie sandwich, that's like supposed to be the complete caloric intake for, you know, like a standard average person, which, you know,
Right.
I am not.
Right.
but still, I can't necessarily bring myself to do it because it's sitting there staring at you. It's in the back of your mind while you're trying to eat the sandwich, and you can no longer enjoy it.
When I walk up there, that person knows that I'm making a conscious choice to make a terrible decision, and that affects, the rapport that I build with the person at the register. A few years ago, I was at an Arby's. I was getting a meal there, and all I wanted was just like one of the big roast beef sandwiches. Like, that's it. I didn't want any fries, no nothing. And I go up there, and I say, yeah, I'll have the max beef or max beef and cheddar, whatever it was. And the cashier just kind of looks at me and she goes, that's 1,500 calories, right?
Oh my God.
I was like, what the fuck? You are...
Listen here.
I was with other people. And like, the shame that I felt in that moment was, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
I could have just did the poltergeist thing and just suck myself into my body and disappear, and I would have been perfectly happy with it. Yes.
All right. So, from down south, disgusted. A female office worker sitting in my cubicle at work when this male coworker walks in to ask a question. The whole time he has his hands in his pockets jangling his change, but in the process of jangling, keeps adjusting the family jewels at your face level. What to do?
Oh, no. And the sad thing is that, like, I obviously don't know this person or the person they're referencing, but I know somebody like this. Like, everybody, as far as I know, everybody knows a guy that is a little too liberal with the with the alignment adjustments.
This is, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm entirely too self-conscious, but this is just a thing that I would never do. Like, even if there was binding, if there was chafing, if there was pinching and, torsion, I would have to excuse myself to another room where in privacy arrangements could be made. I just don't think that I could even try to be surreptitiously like, well, I'll pretend I'm jangling the change while I...
That's what I'm wondering. Was that supposed to be some sort of fucking cover fire? Oh my God.
If you were to come over to my cube while I was sitting there trying to work and you're like, trying to adjust stuff, I would feel free to call you out. I'd be like, damn, Derek.
Right.
That's, this is neither the time nor the place. You should go do that in the bathroom with the guys from episode 1.
Maybe that's what all the shuffling was about. No, I would feel that that's totally appropriate. Like, if I came over playing, a condensed version of Pocket Pool, and you just were just like, hey man, quit touching your junk. Like, I would feel chastised, but like, rightly so. Like, I would feel the correct amount of crappy about doing that. But that's kind of a little bit tricky because as the opposite sex, like if somebody else is doing something fairly private in public,
it just doesn't happen the same way. I mean, we don't have the same sort of layout in terms of society or physicality, but it's especially a fraught problem for women, and that's why I'm going to forward a concept, and let me know how you feel on it. The no-fault cock punch. That's just where if you're doing something untoward, your female coworkers are just allowed to punch you right in the junk, and there's no fault. Like,
so, like, is it if you're doing something intentionally that you shouldn't be doing, or unintentionally,
or some combination of both? Guy on the subway, man spreading, taking up two slots, the no fault cock punch.
Just drop the people's elbow right on his jimmies.
And I think if that was a legally defensible thing, we would probably find people who had a lot better behavior overall.
That would definitely correct any unknown behavior that I had, for sure.
Derek didn't realize he was doing it, but now he does. I mean...
And now he sings castrato. So the issue that we picked out for today, it's from the user Shaba number 1.
Shaba 1, huh?
Shaba number 1.
All right.
And it's not a long one, but it is. I have no specific scientific background besides high school. What field would you study if you wanted to make a self-functioning human-scale robot? See, this is one of the ones where it doesn't have to be like super complex or anything, because there is only one right answer. Not to his question, but to like the bigger question of why. It is clearly just a sex robot that he can fuck. Like, can it be any more obvious? Is there anything other than sex it could be? Like, am I just being closed-minded here?
I mean, I think you're being a little closed-minded here, because if anime has taught us anything, it's that you have to have a robot in order to fight larger robots.
All right.
So this is the opening salvo
that's not
in
too bad. I can
robot
see that.
arms race.
Well, the problem is that he said that it was going to be a human-scale robot. And whenever our robot overlords come, I doubt it's going to be human-scale. I would have to think that they would have built some like larger-than-human robots at that point. Maybe not quite like, Voltron size yet. Like, maybe we're not quite there. I mean, they're going to have some like... 20-foot robots, 15-foot robots, and like a human scale robot, unless you just build a lot of them, not going to do a whole lot of good. Kind of like the whole, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? So I don't think, no matter how many like human scale robots you throw at it, I think that the bigger robot would win.
Well, I mean, there is some Astro Boy sort of precursor here to suggest that, if you build a good enough human-sized robot, it can take on robots much larger than itself. At least it could in the 50s and 60s when Astro Boy was originally popular.
But, I mean, you're right. Like, it has carried on through, like, Mega Man and things like that, where build a... you go down to the local Build-A-Boy and say, I want it to have titanium plating, a buster shot, but I want it to have lasers and armor, and maybe be able to fly. So the optional jetpack, we'll spring the extra, $100 for that. And then they take your desires and they create you a little boy.
This is a really weird robot shop that you're envisioning, Derek. It's very weird, very specific.
Why? Well, okay. No. What is weird about that? Oh, I mean, other than like the whole thing. But like, if there was a place called Build-A-Boy, what the fuck else would you expect that to be? What other type of reputable organization could
reputable
exist
is the question. I'm like, a high-end gay brothel of some sort sounds about appropriate for that.
It could also be named for like a gym.
There we go.
Build a boy, make a man.
I honestly don't know if I'm going to get a membership at Build-A-Boy, the gym. That thing is going out of business real fast.
I'm sorry, but I still think I think Build-A-Boy has not the gym, but
as a concept, it's got legs.
It's got legs, and torsos and arms
and everything else. Now, I'm immediately thinking, with today's technology, this sounds kind of like, with Waiter and all that kind of stuff, where you can order any sort of takeout. This seems like a customizable male escort app. I'm thinking we've got drop downs. We've got interfaces.
Oh. So you're not talking about like buying. Are you talking about renting?
Renting.
the Uber for erotic sex robots. Call it. No, I got it. We'll call it Luber.
Oh God, no. What is the right way to request a coworker not chew loudly on conference calls without offending them? From Grossed Out in Glendale.
Oh my goodness. Oh, my old nemesis has returned.
It's only been a couple of episodes, but we're back to it.
See, my gut instinct is to say, fuck the tact. Just
Go
pull
all
out
out.
our newly coined no fault cock punch.
But it's on a conference call. Now, if we've
I
got
guess
telepunch,
you can't really blast them on the conference call.
yeah, the only thing that I could think of was one of those air horns. But then that's sort of punishing everybody for the sins of the few.
Right. And I mean, I would definitely take surround sound air horns over even one person chewing loudly in front of me. But I understand that's a choice for each individual person, and maybe they wouldn't make the same choice.
It's a choice we all have to make inside ourselves. As far as tact goes, yeah, I guess the only thing you can do is like try to text them through the meeting app and be like, hey, we can all hear that you're chowing down on an extra large fry.
Right, on that plate of extra large nachos. But no, speaking more generally, developers are not known for their decorum.
Really?
So, like, there are times where words escape the mouth before the brain has time to clamp them. And so, you'll have have somebody that's just, on their headset thinking they're muted, and then somebody will say something and they'll just be like, well, that's fucking dumb.
I have been on that call more than once.
And you can hear a pin drop on that conference call. And it's not just a voice conference call. You can get in a lot more trouble with a video
the video calls
call.
that we've got these days.
Holy shit. Now, I have not done anything like untoward or embarrassing on a conference call, but I have been caught unawares before where I didn't think I turned on my camera. And I was sitting there just looking down and then, look up to see
the light.
See the light on. And I'm like, oh.
And then you're like, oh, shit, have I picked my
Thank
nose?
God I didn't have a very personal itch.
Everybody watch me eat that candy bar.
It's like they're watching you like eat like some leftover spaghetti and then watch you drop a meatball and then pick it back up.
Dust it off.
Which I am not necessarily above doing. It matters very much what surface I dropped it on. But no, I mean then everybody thinks that you are just like you're just disgusting for having eaten floor food. Which some floor food is okay. It doesn't, but that's for another episode.
That is for another episode.
We don't have to get into floor food.
Now, I have done, and I believe you are in the room, I have surreptitiously taken a photo of the room with my cell phone as close as I could get to the angle of the camera, and then quickly interposed the picture on the phone with the camera itself so that it was just stuck on a still frame.
And nobody realized it for sure. Like that, it was very convincing.
Yeah, it was surprisingly convincing.
Most of the time I'm pretty quick on the uptake to know that I'm being recorded. But a couple of times I'm like, oh God, did I like dig in my ears or like wipe out the eye boogers from the corners of my eyes? Like, did I inspect my bald spot on camera? Like shit like that it's like I'm not 2 knuckles deep in my nose, but I'm doing something that is best done in the privacy of my own cube.
I mean, more than once I have been sitting there and realized that the camera was on and I was like eating lunch while I was in the meeting or whatever. And
Right.
that's not a huge deal, but it's still just the kind of thing that you don't want everybody to have been sitting there staring at you while you wolf down your lean cuisine. It's like everybody in the West Coast office has now seen my shame with this Hot Pocket.
Just seeing me deep throat a Subway sandwich. It's like, Derek, that's quite disgusting, but also a little impressive at your gag reflex control.
We're horrified yet intrigued. Let's take an issue from the internet.
All right. So this is from user Hamadryad I am 27 years old and terrified of driving, looking for advice to help me get on the roads. So I did not start to drive until I was about 20 years old. I got my license when I was 22 with very little experience and have not had much since then. I wish I had the independence and freedom that comes with being able to drive, but I am so scared to get out there and do it. Scared I will hit a pedestrian, cause an accident, get hit by a drunk driver. I am sort of a spaz with a short attention span and don't really trust my ability to react to spontaneous events on the road. Also, my mother has a debilitating fear of driving on the highways and over bridges, which certainly transferred to me. Does anyone have any advice on how to chill out, gain comfort navigating the roads? Is there anyone that has overcome something similar? One last note, I live in a big city that's known for its aggressive drivers. Thanks in advance. So,
see, ordinarily I'd say you need to loosen up with a drink, but in this particular instance...
might not be the best way to prime yourself for a drive down the street. So I picked this one not because I feel that this is a funny question, but the fact that we are all driving around in fucking tanks without guns, like that is the realization I had when reading this question. We are all. We have these like 2, 3, 4 or more ton battle tanks that we choose just to not do combat with, and we don't even think about it. Like, we just get in the car and we drive down to Wendy's, and then we drive back. We drive a battle machine to go get a sandwich. That is the age in which we live. Since I have picked this question to put on the podcast, I've been in a wreck. Like, somebody...
Oh, no.
Somebody clipped my rear bumper. And it's the first time that I've had, vehicle-to-vehicle contact in, 15 years, something like that. So it's been a long time. And so, like, it was just at this moment where I saw it, because, like I said, they clipped my rear bumper. So if I'd been a little bit slower, they would have T-boned me. But, like, I saw their lights as it passed my passenger window, and I was like, this is it.
This is how I die.
Yeah, this is how I go. Boy, I wish I'd finished that bag of Doritos before I left. Which sure is a shame they won't get eaten now.
The one that we're playing right now is called Pandemic Legacy.
Okay.
And it's Pandemic Legacy Season 2. So Pandemic itself is a game about trying to cure diseases before they kill everybody on the planet.
Right.
Pandemic Legacy was like this whole story thing about trying to cure diseases before they kill the planet, as well as one particular disease.
Okay.
Season 2, not to spoil it for anybody, things didn't go well in Season 1 in the main storyline. You start off Season 2, basically it's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland where everything's gotten wiped out by disease. And this is a board game, mind you.
Right. Is there any blurb in the second set where it basically like blames the original players for not doing a good enough job?
There is, and all of us at the table, because we had played Season 1 and everybody at the table was like, fuck you, man, we did a great goddamn job. That's some bullshit.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was like, when this came out and, while there were heroic teams attempting to stop the spread, they were unable to do so and the world collapsed. And we're like, we fixed the planet. I don't know what you're talking about. game over. We're done here. But, like, so I'm having fun, I think. But it was one of those things where we pushed off from the table after we got done playing, and I was like, well, thanks for inviting us over, and I'm glad we did it. I can't say that I'm happy right now, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. But this game is so brutally, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's just...
unforgiving.
It is unforgiving, and the designers are mean people who should feel bad about themselves and the decisions they make.
You hear that, pandemic creators? You are mean. We are putting you on blast, and you should go make a nicer game.
You're bad, and you should feel bad. No, like, at one point in the game, they open up this little thing, and, like, in the fiction, you come across, like, a cache of The Cure or something.
Wait, the band The Cure?
No, yeah. You come across a bunch of CDs of The Cure, and...
I'm sorry.
It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland, so you've got all these CDs of The Cure, but you have no CD players.
Oh, no.
And
all the emos will be so
exactly,
sad.
the only thing more emo than The Cure on CD is being sad because you can't play The Cure on CD.
Because there are no CD players left on Earth.
Exactly.
As far as potlucks go, what are your feelings on potlucks? Like, what type of food do you want to bring, and do you feel personally that you have to, like, showcase something for the potluck, or are you just, like, going to the Publix and picking up a pie? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a monster. I am the brought some paper towels guy. I am the brought several 2 liters of Coke and Diet Coke man.
You will pick up the entire supplies list just so you don't have to bring food.
No cooking from me. Like, and I cook sometimes, but I do not cook for public functions or anything like that. Because here's the thing. Right. I am perhaps a paranoid person, but I know for a fact that my pimento cheese sandwiches will be the thing that kills half the people in the office with salmonella.
How? How are you going to fuck up pimento cheese so bad that you're going to kill your coworkers?
I don't know, but I would find the way.
Oh, you get the literal one batch of pimento cheese that has salmonella poisoning.
Yeah, just like Frank Eastman came in and he brought, a pie, and looks like instead of sugar he used arsenic.
See, no. There is no way that was a mistake. If that happened, I am 100% positive that you meant to kill people.
See, exactly. That's what everyone would think. They would be like, he finally snapped. The monster did it at last. And the thing is, if I did, I wouldn't have gotten caught. This was obviously a mistake.
It's like, no, when Frank Eastman wants to kill people, it will not be obvious.
And
this was far too blunt an instrument.
That's not a good look. That's not a good look at the Bond hearing. Like, I plead not guilty, Your Honor, because if I'd have meant to kill him, you'd have never caught me. I'm an RN. We have a supervisor at the hospital where I work that tends to scratch her personal business often. Not sure if it's a habit or a problem. Anyway, when we have get-togethers such as going away or birthday parties, it makes everyone try to do a mad dash to the buffet table before Crotch Rocket gets there. Does someone tell her to figure out her problem? Sent in by In Fear for My Job.
This is so gross. And on multiple levels, like even out of the context of beating whomever to the buffet table before they get a chance to palm all the Swiss rolls.
To check each individually for size and shape.
Oh, that means that you can't touch like any of the produce in the kitchen area.
Oh yeah, no.
Anything that is fair game, you have to, for safety, assume that they have crotch touched.
Oh, jeez. You got a can of Lysol everywhere you go. You're just like,
No, I wouldn't even trust Lysol to kill that. There's something Clorox don't kill, Frank. But
Oh.
But
Shit,
even a
sorry,
part
that
of-
was a delayed reaction.
yeah, some of my jokes are a slow burn. But no, even apart from the food discussion, like, what is wrong with our audience? What? This is the second question that we've had that involved inappropriate crotch touching at the office.
I mean, I'm not the one. I don't get these. They are given unto me.
That seems
I wonder if a lot of people have problems with people touching their crotches at work. Like, every single episode seems to be some problem involving someone else's crotch in an office space.
Is this a problem that's going unreported until we, like, just knock the lid clear off?
I don't know. I think we're breaking this story open, man.
Yeah, we've kind of discussed this a little bit before with one of the previous audience questions. You can't just scratch your downstairs mix-up whenever you want. Like, you have to do that in private. That's why they're called privates.
The
If they
junior
wanted- if
jumble is
people-
not for public.
Yes, if people wanted to scratch them in the middle of the office, they would call them Publix. Wait, I just got the name of the supermarket.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I'm going to shop there anymore.
We're not touching any of the produce.
Certainly not. No, I would almost say that this could be like a health concern. Not like in the obvious sense, but like...
Could be my ass. It is definitely a health concern. This is a nurse.
No. Well, yes, of course. Oh, I didn't even think about that. But no, somebody needs to address that with them. Like, somebody needs to tell them, I noticed you've been scratching your crotch a lot lately. We do work in a hospital. There are multiple ointments and unctions that could possibly fix your problem.
You've had the 7-year itch for 9-15 now. Need to get that looked at.
This question will be the death of me.
This is the
Man,
kind of person who would drop a roll on the floor, pick it up, dust it off on their shirt, and put it back in with the other rolls.
See, that's a bridge too far. You know, we have discussed on this podcast before that there is some amount of floor food that is okay, but it's a personal choice. You should not force your floor food beliefs on someone else. Like, if I decide to be a garbage monster and pick up something that I've dropped off the floor, inspect it, and then consume it, that's my personal decision. I'm not going to get my batch of sausage balls, accidentally drop them on the way up the stairs, scoop them back in, and hope nobody notices. Like, I'm not going to force my beliefs on someone else.
Even the gentle trash panda in nature will wash its food before it eats it.
Exactly.
No, there was a guy at one of my old offices, and I was in the restroom. It always comes back to foods and bathrooms around here.
We
But
certainly have a list of things we go back to.
We've got a theme.
Okay, so that may be a problem that, like, they say that you talk about what you know. All we
food.
know about is food and bathrooms.
We're gonna change the name of the show to Food and Stall. It's our new hipster podcast. Welcome
But
to
no, back to
another
the guy
episode
you're
of
talking
Food and Stall. Oh no, but this guy, he I was in the stall, and someone came in and very obviously and loudly used the bathroom, and then walked out. There was no sound
Frank,
of running
no.
water. There was no paper towel dispenser, and I left the bathroom, and I was like, who came out of here before me? It was like, this was a mystery that had to be solved, and it had to be solved immediately. It's like, did you see who came out of the bathroom in front of me? Has anyone else gone in?
I'm going to request that you cut this out of the episode, because I will not be able to listen back to this, because this is something that maybe it's not to the nightmare level where like I will literally dream about this. But like whenever I'm in the restroom, I'll hear somebody like flush, unlock the stall, and in the 1 or 2 seconds it takes them to walk to the stall, from the stall to the sink, it's like that. I forget what that movie is, but it's a movie where like the guy is about to be hung, and like the instant from when he's dropped to when the rope comes taut and his neck snaps, like he has that like elaborate adventure. That's my whole brain for like 2 seconds. Like I go into the spiral of like, please, for the love of God, please tell me that he's going to go to the sink and he's going to wash his hands, because if he doesn't, I'm going to have to like CSI Miami this shit, and I'm going to have to figure out who the dirty boy is.
Who this dirty boy is.
Because the thing is, I don't want anybody to be a dirty boy for multiple reasons, but I also don't want somebody that I respect to be a dirty boy. Like,
yeah, well, because
I've
then
shook
I
hands
can't.
with so many people.
Exactly, that's the thing. Like I would not be able to, like, if I found out that it was a person, I sleuthed it out. I figured out who it was, and I could never shake his hand again. And anything he touched was forever their suspect. Like it's similar to this.
Because the thing is, and I know that we judge ourselves by our best moments, and we judge other people by their worst moments. But like, unless this guy sounded like he only had like 1 minute to poop, like if he had to get it done and get out as fast as possible, maybe I could understand, skipping a step, or maybe it was an accident.
That's a critical step. All the steps in that particular activity are critical steps. Like the critical path we have, there is nothing that you can skip. There is. We're not going to get this shit more efficient, man.
I agree. There are no shortcuts when it comes to bathroom behavior. I understand that, but I'm just saying that it could be somewhat understandable. But if they were kind of like, you kind of heard them flipping through a newspaper, or heard some buzzing on their phone because they were, perusing Instagram or something, and they just got up and walked out, then I think it's safe to assume that that's not the first time that's happened. That it may not be a habit, but it's something that they do not stress very highly. Cleanliness over. I don't even know what else. Like, do you just not like water? Like,
you can't. I am Old Testament about this. Like, this is a one strike, you're out situation. At no point there is nothing that is that important.
When you come down the mountain with your stone tablets, like, you take time to scratch them all out, and the only thing on it is you wash your fucking hands when you come out of the bathroom.
I'm like, okay, all right, that's nice, burning bush, but thou shalt wash thy goddamn hands. Like, that is. I think we're done here. Like, that was the one. We're one and done. We're good. I think we've got them all engraved in stone now.
Everything else, there's wiggle room, but that will not be. We will not abide by lack of hand washing.
Because here's the thing. Like, sometimes I've heard people have conversations with people like this, and their defense is, well, I didn't get anything on my hands, so it should be fine.
Oh, no.
And I am like, I cannot strangle the life out of them, because they're thrashing. They will put those hands all in my face.
It's too risky.
There's too much of a risk. There's nothing I could do here. And I might be a little paranoid. I don't know. The preceding 15 minutes may have something, to say to everyone about the subject. When I'm leaving a bathroom, I open the door with the third finger on my left hand. That's it. And then I know that finger. That's the bad finger. You don't put that finger in your eye. You don't pick up food with that finger.
I'm sorry. Just the thought that you have a finger that is used for no practical purpose other than touching potentially shit-covered things.
It's important, Derek.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like when you kiss somebody, you kiss everybody they've ever kissed.
This is why I don't kiss him on the mouth.
See, this is the problem, because when you lick your finger, you are licking everything that anybody's hands who have touched a surface that you have also touched have touched. So if somebody has touched their butt, then touch the handle. You touch the handle, and your hand is not clean enough.
I've licked the butt.
You licked, exactly. I'm glad you're following me, Frank. You licked the butt.
And I honestly, I just think it's like if they just transplanted one of their cooks,
Yeah, just one.
just take like one cook from the southeastern portion of the place and transport them up to the northeast. I would like to think that they would infect everyone else with flavor.
They would bring the good word of Guy Fieri and make sure that everybody in the Northeast got brought to Flavortown.
Exactly. They're all going to Flavortown.
Yeah, most of the good stuff that we've eaten has been recommendations by a local, somebody who works at the company that is very local to that area. But the problem is that a lot of the recommendations that we took when we first got there were from other people that came down, ate somewhere, and then said, "Hey, this was good," when they were incorrect.
This is good for them. Was I didn't get food poisoning and die.
Right. Which I'm not saying that's a bad metric. Like, because of the places that we have eaten and the food that I've eaten up there, I've gotten food poisoning up there.
I was going to say, you did get food poisoning, so there's that.
So I
remember that.
for one, am okay by, with using that as some sort of metric. But I'm just not saying it's the only metric.
No, that's true.
And you know what's funny? Like, I would say that probably one of the top 3 meals that we had up there was at that fucking Denny's.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, we stopped at the Denny's and just obviously it was run down and terrible, and I did not want to see the health inspector score at all.
No,
and,
it was not visible. Like, they had something stapled over it somewhere because there was a layer of film everywhere. Like, even by Denny's standards, like, this was not a high quality Denny's. Like,
yeah, no.
Make no mistake. But the food that we got from there, that was probably one of the best meals we had in the Northeast.
And the thing about it was, and I think this is, touching back on what I was saying, I think it's because they cared.
Right.
Like, the guy who was serving us was personally invested in the food, and so he was like, "No, you don't want to get that."
Yeah, he was actually making recommendations.
Right, and when he couldn't do one of the things that we wanted, he was like, "Give me a second, I'm going to go work with the chefs." And that greasy, food-stained, slack-ass guy, I could tell he was going to present us with food that was not good for us, but which was going to be tasty.
Right.
Because that's the kind of bullshit that he'd be eating.
Right. he may eat like a garbage person, but he's a garbage person that liked flavor, and he saw a bit of the garbage person spark in us.
Yes.
And so he knew that he had to be our standard bearer.
Our trash people were reflected in one another, and we knew our kin.
All right. This issue is from user Mellow Kitty Cat.
Mellow.
What are some cool hobbies to make up to not seem like a lame person? I realize this sounds horrible and lame, but I found out my best friend was spreading rumors about me at school. I know it was her because she was the only one I talked to. I don't want to have a fight with her. She might do something worse, but I don't want to be friends because she uses me to go out and get free lunches.
Ooh.
We have gone out 6 times in the past year and eaten expensive restaurants, and she hasn't even offered to split the bill once.
Abigail's a two-faced bitch.
She is. I don't actually want to have hobbies. I am too tired and want to nap. I'm a lame person and don't have any more friends, so I spend my weekend sleeping. However, I want an excuse to not go out with her. What are some hobbies that require my time and commitment to go out? Also, she knows me well and knows I will never do sports. She has a note at the bottom that says, I already do baking, decorating, piano, and singing. So with the baking, decorating, piano, and singing, obviously those are things that, like, unless she had like a recital, may not necessarily get her out of a social commitment.
I was going to say that the first thing that comes to mind is that she's already got hobbies. The key here is to put the word competitive in front of each one.
Competitive decorating.
Competitive decorating.
I do think the baking decorating was like baking and cake decorating, but I want to believe that they meant like competitive macrame.
I mean, hey, I'm gonna be on Food Network, being judged by Guy Fieri, and on the quality of my bake. Him and Mary Berry, they're going to be together.
Oh,
judging
Christ.
me on my bundt cakes.
I am not sure that in any reality would anybody believe that Mary Berry would step foot in the fucking room with Guy Fieri. She has too much fucking respect for herself to be in that same room with Guy Fieri.
But Guy doesn't. So I think that's sort of how it happens, is they're just like, Mary Berry is refusing, but then Guy Fieri is okay being in the same room with someone who obviously has no interest in being in the room with him.
Well, I think that pretty much covers everybody when it comes to Guy Fieri.
I think what they probably would just do is shoot each of their scenes separately and then just edit them together afterwards.
That is exactly what I was thinking. Have some sort of complicated editing process, maybe even a green screen. That's right. So she films the actual competition show, and they just green screen him in.
I mean, shit, they don't even need to really do any additional taping for him. They just, play a rerun of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Right. I mean, he just has to, he just has to
go.
kind of say stuff about Flavor Town, and that's pretty much all he would need. He'd do like 3 takes. Like, that's not going to take me to Flavor Town. That is kind of adjacent to Flavor Town, and that brought me right to fucking Flavor Town. Like, those are the three
things they could just...
he would have to say. Because I'm not sure he's qualified to, like, judge, like Mary Berry, the quality of bakes or anything like that. It's just, how close did that get me to Flavor Town? And the more I talk about it, I think Flavor Town may just be his euphemism for climax. It's like, I took a bite of that, and I got straight to Flavor Town. I need new pants.
Was it pretty good? It was good. It was good. It was real good.
So my only problem, so maybe like a, filming a baking or, some sort of baking competition show or cooking competition show, that could be believed because it's a closed set, couldn't really have spectators, that's fine. But like with piano and singing, typically those are like recitals or like open competition type of things, like not really things that you could say, I'm going to a competition and know before you ask, you can't attend. Like, that's not...
Competitive blood sport piano.
All right, Frank. I'm with you on this one. Explain to me how the fuck that works.
It's Beethoven and Bach to the death.
But they're already dead.
Well, not them to the death. Like, we're playing.
So do they just play until one of them dies?
I mean, that's old hardcore rules. Nowadays, they actually put them on little motorized carts with the pianos, and they're driving around while playing.
Okay.
And then they've just got knives. And so the key is maintaining your ability to, hit those good notes while being not terribly, but fairly significantly stabbed, and or doing some fairly significant stabbing.
When you have to Tokyo drift that grand piano, shit's gonna get real.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming into that corner, and you got to get straightened out, or else they're going to be right behind you with that knife. And I mean, they're pen knives. It's going to take a while. This is not a fast sport. Oh yeah, nothing over 2 inches. Nothing over 2 inches for competitive blood sport piano. I can't tell you how many friends I've lost to competitive piano blood sport. It's hard to explain to people who aren't in it. I mean, my people have been into this since it was horse-drawn carts and harpsichords. So it's deep into the makeup. It's hard to explain.
So this one isn't necessarily a hobby. Just tell them I have joined a cult, and we would like you to join our group. It's very important. That outreach is a core principle of ours. So if you would, we can meet in this abandoned warehouse, and we'll have a ritual sacrifice. I'm not saying it's you. I'm not saying you are the ritual sacrifice, but we will have one.
You're gonna need to bring your own knife with at most a 2-inch blade. A gerbil, a blindfold, and a black robe. But we're open to all comers. Like, they're really minimal requirements.
So here's the problem: is that they say okay, and then they want to join the cult.
At that point, new cult.
I didn't even think about that. You've got your first apostle. All right.
Exactly. Fuck it. At that point, well, I guess we're going to just keep rolling with this. I'm fairly certain that's how most cult leaders ended up starting.
It's like, well, I just wanted to get out of going to the movies with my friend, but people just kept agreeing to this, so
now I am the embodiment of Jesus in the flesh, apparently, because these people won't leave me alone.
And I keep telling them dumb shit, like, the Lord wants you to give me all your...
I'm the embodiment of Jesus in the flesh.
Other than that, I keep telling them, to give me all their money. I keep telling them to, let me have sex with them whenever I want. I keep telling them these just crazy, fucked up things, and they keep saying okay. So I'm just going to ride this train till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing you can really do. Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's really hard to walk it back. After the things that have happened to the gerbil have happened to the gerbil, you can't come out and say, I just didn't want to go to the movies with you anymore.
You can't unflay a gerbil after it's been done.
No, I mean, you can't stitch that back on, man. That's not how it works.